Welcome to Get Shirty, the podcast where we ask our guests about the things in life that just never fail to irritate and get them all shirty. The chat focuses on home, work and going out, but could go anywhere. And it's not all doom and gloom, as each guest gets a made-to-measure shirt which they design, so we talk about that too. Funny that, us being tailors. And our guest today is Adam Buxton. Adam first came to prominence in the early 90s on Channel 4 in the Adam and Joe Show with his comedy partner Joe Cornish, which also then made the successful move to radio at XFM and then Six Music, and he hasn't stopped working since. From TV and movie roles to writing his best-selling Ramble book and of course hosting one of the country's biggest podcasts, the aptly titled Adam Buxton Podcast. We talk about a range of irritations from loud pubs to hotel etiquette and more. Do be warned, the language is a little fruity at times and there's even a little singing, so something for everyone I suppose. So here we go. 3 tailors, 2 mics, 1 guest and a host of irritations. Let's get shirty.
I really like podcasting because I am quite a self-conscious person.
Right.
And when we used to do TV stuff, me and Joe Cornish, when we made our TV show on Channel 4 in the 90s, the Adam and Joe Show, we made it ourselves. And so we're both quite vain.
Right.
And didn't want to look terrible on camera.
Okay.
So we would take a while to light it in a flattering way, and we'd edit it ourselves and things like that. And the first time that we went on regular TV and someone else was filming it, I was quite alarmed. I was like, oh no, I don't like... It's like the difference between when you take a selfie and someone takes a photograph of you and you go, that's what I look like? It's a bit of a shock. And so when we were on the radio, me and Joe, it removed that whole element of self-consciousness, the visual element. And so I don't really understand from that point of view why people are now... I mean, I do understand why people are filming their podcasts because they can put them on YouTube and you get more views that way and things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, the nice thing about the audio medium is that you don't have that layer of anxiety about what you look like. You can just focus on the conversation.
I'm not very good at hearing myself. Like, we're in a band together, me and Stu.
Oh yeah.
I sing, I perform at the front, and I'm happy just being an idiot, jumping about and being daft, but I don't like watching it back in case I see something where I go, in my head I don't look like that, and I know it will stop me from doing it next time. Yeah. So if I watch it, so I don't tend to like watching it.
I mean, it is quite a good thing to do. I remember watching a documentary about Jerry Seinfeld when he was going back on the road after years of not doing stand-up while they were doing the sitcom. And there was another comedian in there called Orny Adams, who was a younger comic, and he was like a comedy scientist, and he was one of these very ambitious comedians who takes it super seriously, and part of his process was to film and record every gig that he did, and then he would go home and he would log the tapes, and he would sit there and listen back to every show that he did, and he would make notes. This is what I screwed up. I screwed up the punchline there. The timing could be better on that one. And so he was like hardcore. And that is a good way of improving, no doubt. On the other hand, I think it takes some of the fun out of it. And I think sometimes, it just makes you... It turns it too much into a science rather than something fun.
Yeah, and I think that it's that thing, isn't it? It's like if it's not fun, you start...
Yeah, especially with music and things like that. You're trying to capture a little feeling, aren't you? What kind of music are you playing?
Got a pun for the name, so we're called Dance Commando, and it's stuff that you can dance to. That's the idea. So old school stuff like Roachford, Chic.
We did Hush.
Well, we do a sort of cooler shakery version, through to stuff like gay bar, some chili peppers stuff. So it's all just stuff where we can go and set up somewhere. Everybody gets to jump about for a bit, have a good laugh, see you later, and off we go.
Were you ever playing original numbers?
When I was about 20, we started sort of writing that sort of stuff and thinking, oh, this will go somewhere, but you know, the covers, people only ever wanted to hear the covers, so we just kept with that.
What sort of style were you writing in?
Probably a little bit too earnest, you know.
Of course, it's always a bit too earnest.
We did a biscuit version of Strange Brew, you know, just about biscuits and the biscuits that we like, and
sure,
that it's fallen into my brew, you know, that sort of thing. So it was, sort of daft stuff.
I've got a biscuits jingle.
Have you? Has that gone out on the...
Yeah, I've used it a few times. Biscuits, I am in love with you. I'll dip you in my tea, but pull you out before you fall apart. I won't abandon you, biscuits.
Yeah. I nearly thought about joining in there.
Well, that's as far as I've got. I mean, I did feel like, I think this is a brilliant song, and I should finish it, but I couldn't get beyond that. That's all there is for biscuits.
Yeah. Well,
I liked "I'll pull you out before you fall apart."
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
It is good. It works on many levels. See, ours was more literal than that. I've been dunking, so it's that dun dun dun. I've been dunking so long, my biscuit's gone soggy and it's dropped into my brew. Dun, dun, bum, 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 you know.
I'm going to use it as my next verse.
You're welcome to then. I will welcome you to the Get Shirty podcast. You couldn't say it then. Mr. Adam Buxton, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all right.
Beautiful to be in Tunbridge Wells.
Have you been to Tunbridge Wells before?
I don't think I have. What's the best thing about Tunbridge Wells? Apart from this fine establishment.
Thank you very much. The best thing about Tunbridge Wells, if you're coming to Tunbridge Wells for the day, the Pantiles on the High Street, it's probably a good, because it's where the cafes are and the history is, and there's a few bits and pieces to see, so that's probably where people gravitate from. Come out of the train station, turn right. That tends to be the area that people go to.
Where are the wells?
The wells, well, the spring, the Chaler Beat, or that's not quite the right way to say it, it's the way I've always said it, but if there is a better pronunciation, but the Chaler Beat spring is on the Pantile, so it's where the good and the great used to come and take the water.
Okay.
That's why it sort of got its royal thing, because the royals used to come down. I think I'll probably get in the history very badly wrong. If we had our own fat
and do they sell?
He'd come in now.
They sell bottled water, do they? Tunbridge
you can
Wells
take water from the spring, but they don't bottle it and sell it.
Why not?
Because
they don't want to sell out.
I don't think it could keep enough going. I think you can get a ladle full, and that will do you. Yeah, but it's very irony. It's good. It's good for your water. But
couldn't they chemically synthesize it? Like, couldn't they analyze what is great about the water from the Tunbridge Well and then just mass produce the living shit out of it?
Well, I think once this podcast is out, I'm sure that'll be the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a really.
I mean, it would be great, obviously, if they did remove all the living shit out of it as well.
There's a really good music venue in Tunbridge Wells called the Forum. It's been running for a long time now. I won't put a date to it, but there's two sort of springs. There is a well there right outside the Forum, which. It's got a little gate, a little sort of fenced off area where I don't think they can take water from there, but I think it feeds from there into the spring on the Pantiles. But the Pantiles used to be run by a chap called Bo Nash, he was very instrumental in Bath. He used to run all the sort of entertainment in Bath as well before sort of retiring.
Bo Nash? Was he a wizard?
Bo Nash, yeah. Bo Nash would be even better. Oh, your name's so much cooler, yeah.
Bo Nash. Oh, right. Okay.
Bo Nash was his name, but he used to run all the gambling.
Bo Nash.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking first of all, I thought he was Bone Ash. My name is Bone Ash. The ashes of my bones were created many hundreds of years ago. Yeah. And then I thought it was Bone Ash from, India or something. And No,
Both of those things are much cooler.
It's Bo
Nash. Yeah, so he sort of set up Bath and then came to Tunbridge Wells, set up the gaming houses, and he was in charge of all the gambling on the Pantos. That's what it was down there, sort of many moons ago. So so that's probably the best bit of Tunbridge Wells to answer your very nice question. So how was the journey up through Tunbridge Wells?
It was fine, thank you very much. It's not very far from the station. If you're considering making the journey to Hardman and Hemming for your tailored suit needs, then may I encourage you to take your bike on the train, if you're not a Tunbridge Wells local, and enjoy a very doable pedal up a couple of hills, but it is strictly 12 minutes.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
You were quite, when we were in contact beforehand, you were quite clear that it would be this amount of time.
Google Maps told me it would be 12 minutes, and it was.
It's good. See, for me, I don't think I could do it in 12 minutes. You're a seasoned peddler.
Yeah, I am a peddler.
Yeah.
That's the best part of my. That's the best part of me. Is me and my relationship with bikes.
Right.
Even though, having said that, I've never been. Well, I went on a sort of fun holiday where we pedalled around France with my friend Garth for a few days, and you can go and pick up. I really recommend it as a holiday option. You can pick up bikes, and they take your luggage. They plan out a route for you.
Right.
Where you're cycling through beautiful countryside, and you end up in a great little hotel, and you can figure out like what kind of budget do you want? Do you want a kind of budget? Do you want economy or super luxury or whatever?
Right.
I think we went for super luxury.
Yeah.
And they take all your luggage to the place, so you just have to cycle with your lunch box.
Yeah.
And
so they move your luggage from place to place to place.
Yeah. And it's waiting there for you when you arrive. And you're not going miles. The version we were doing, it was only, 20 miles or something, 25 miles, which takes you a few hours, but it's totally doable.
Right.
But I've never been on a real hardcore. I know some blokes get to a certain age and they think, I've got to go hardcore. Yeah. And I know these people who go to the Himalayas and they are cycling sort of 20 hours a day and up mountains, and I've never done that.
Yeah, so you've never been tempted to find a group of friends, all wear the same matching outfit, and then lycra yourselves up and be gone?
No, I've been tempted to avoid those people.
Yeah.
So far, but never say never.
Never say never. I don't think. I'm much more suited to a tailored suit rather than. I don't think I've got the physique for tight lycra.
For the, what do they call it? Mamil, middle-aged man in lycra.
I know this isn't very interesting podcast chat, but I'm getting colder and colder sitting here. I'm trying to put the heater on because it's all controlled through our phones. So
no, I'm fine. I like it cold.
Okay. Good.
I think the wisdom in the chat show world is the colder the better. I think.
Is it?
Yeah, you don't want your guests too warm,
right?
Because then they get
sleepy.
A bit sleepy.
Right.
And I went to New York once with the band Travis.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and they were appearing on Letterman, and so it's very exciting. I got to go with them onto Letterman and watch them rehearse, and was wandering around the set before.
Right.
Like, I can't remember if I sat at Dave Letterman's desk, but I was certainly wandering around it and looking out onto the fake skyline backdrop and stuff. But it was freezing. You could see your breath. And David Letterman liked to keep the studio temperature right down, like to a sort of mad degree.
Right.
Because it kept him sharp, I guess.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's, for me, the minute my hand, as I was saying earlier before we started recording, my hands tend to go freezing cold rather quickly. So I was sitting there thinking, oh no, our guest is freezing. This is never good.
I would prefer to, I think I would prefer to freeze to death than burn to death. That's a fun topic of conversation, isn't it?
Well, look, so the idea of the conversation today, or part of the conversation, is to talk about the things in life that get us shirty. That might be a little bit extreme, burning to death. But I
You know what really gets under my skin? Burning to death.
the last time I
think
burned
it's
to death-
overrated.
Yeah. Well, it's the sort of thing you can only do once.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same with freezing to death. But I'm with you. I think I'd rather slowly freeze to death than quickly burn to. Well, I don't know actually. Now I'm saying that out loud. Neither's good.
No, I mean, ideally it would be neither of those.
Yeah.
Things that get you shirty.
Yeah. So the idea of the podcast, Adam, is to talk about the things in life which. So it's a two-pronged thing.
Yeah.
Talk about shirts a little bit. We've gone through your shirt choice.
Yeah.
And we've gone. Well, you tell us what your choice was for your shirt.
Button down collar,
Very smart.
not cufflinks.
Yes.
Was it pink?
It was pink.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
pink. You've remembered well. Yeah. So yeah, you went for a nice button-down collar. Sits nice and smart. Stays nicely under the lapel of your jacket.
Yeah.
You haven't got to worry about remembering shirt collar stiffeners. Always end up in the washing machine. Button at a single cuff, square single cuff, no cufflinks.
I mean, I do
required.
like cufflinks.
Yeah.
And for a while, I think people used to give me cufflinks all the time. So I accumulated a collection. I guess they just stopped buying them for me. But I had some good ones. I had some ones that were little iPods.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
First generation iPods.
Yeah. Good.
And I had also some ones that just had little birds on them and they just said tits.
All right. Even better.
And
You can get some quite good sweary ones actually these days.
yeah, I'm not down with that really.
You're not down with this swearing clothing in general?
I think
or just...
my mum got me the tits ones.
Right,
She had
okay.
quite a sort of silly, juvenile, slightly smutty sense of humour,
Right.
and she would give me, because I think she thought that's what I was like. She's like, oh, you're silly. Oh, God, look what I've got you.
Yeah.
Like one year she got me a little pill box
Right.
for Christmas that just said Viagra on it.
Right, nice.
When I was in my mid-30s, I thought,
Yeah.
what a weird present to give me. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I'll make sure I get that out at every occasion
Yeah.
that I possibly can.
There wasn't even any Viagra in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what she thought I was
Yeah.
going to put in there. Cocaine, I suppose.
Yeah. Wow.
I never even did that.
Wow.
I just used it to carry my earplugs.
Well, but that's a good use for it.
Yeah, I
That-
guess.
yeah. That's nice. And do you still use it, or have you now? Is it sitting on a shelf somewhere?
It's on a shelf.
Yeah.
It wasn't very practical. It was ceramic.
Oh, was it?
It's quite heavy.
Yeah, that's not. It's not one for the pocket.
No.
Really, that is it.
No. So anyway, yes, I got my shirt. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. I mean, the thing is that sartorially,
Yeah.
I'm not up to much. I used to care about clothes a lot more when I was younger and would take a few more chances, I think. But now in my middle age, because I cycle around, it's all fleeces and
Yeah.
cargo shorts and, hiking shorts and a lot of outdoor gear.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to be able to take a chance with some nice clothing made by experts.
I'm a big fan of the right clothes for the right purpose and the right reason,
Yeah.
and that's part of bringing it round to suits, which you very kindly did, or clothing. It's you've got to pick the right cloth for the right suit for the right occasion. If you're going abroad and you don't want a 18-ounce wool. If you're riding a bike, you don't want a pair of flannel trousers either. Shorts. So it's functional clothing,
Yeah.
and it's good.
I think
And I like your hat today. It's a good.
Oh, thank you. I'm wearing
Yeah.
a Stetson Docker cap, listeners. That's my new hat choice.
Yeah.
Because I was always a baseball cap wearer. And then I sort of thought maybe this was a slightly more grown-up option.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I didn't want to... Like, a lot of people I respect think that men of a certain age who wear baseball caps are terrible.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Pete Doherty had, not that I'm the world's biggest Pete Doherty and Libertines fan, but I think he had a very withering line about the saddest thing in the world
Right.
being men in baseball caps or
Yeah.
something like that.
I was at a parents' evening, and I'd finished work, got home, and I do like, as much as I like to think I'm looking smart all the time, I get home and I put on my not at work clothes, and I went out the door, went to this parents' evening, and looked around me and realised I was wearing the dad uniform. to a dad, we were all wearing Adidas trainers, chinos, a t-shirt with some sort of understated motif on it, and baseball caps or flat caps. And I was just like, I've reached that point.
Well, it's hard, isn't it? It's like food, it's people don't have the time to be adventurous a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But actually, if you get into good habits, or if good options are made available to you, it can really transform your life. And I would love to be like, there's this company called Riverford Farms, who are one of the people that do delivery boxes.
Yeah.
And you could go online, you can pick recipe boxes, and it really transformed my life. Like, I learned how to cook a little bit better, and started eating better food rather than always having fish fingers every single day for my lunch. Similarly with clothes, I was delighted when you suggested that I come and get a shirt, and I'm getting a suit from you as well, because I really love, when you see someone like Richard Ayoade, for example, he always looks great. He always wears brilliant suits. I mean, it's different because he's tall, he's slim, I have a different body shape, so my options are a little more limited, I think, or at least I need to think more carefully about them. But that's exactly why this kind of thing is a great opportunity. So if there are men like myself out there, what are they looking at in terms of coming in here, and how long does it take? How much are they going to pay for their average suit?
They're good questions,
because those are the things that put me off, right?
Well, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that tailoring is a thing that's for other people. It's not. It's not for me, or it's only a certain sort of person that can go in, or a certain sort of body type, and all the rest of it. So, I mean, the thing is to think about what you like and where your comfort zone is. That's really quite key, and something that we sort of talked about earlier. What you like, how you feel comfortable, what you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing. It's all the sort of what questions I tend to think about it. The what do you want it for? Where are you going to wear it? Sort of how often? I know that's not a what question, but how often are you going to wear it? And the why of the suit. That's really what you got to think about, and that's the same for anybody, whether you're tall and slim, whether you're like me, you sort of podgy around the middle. All of those questions are sort of relevant about the why of the suit. And the reasons behind it. Cost-wise, we've got something to suit all budgets, really.
Do you think that whatever your body shape, there is a suit that would look good on you?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. You've just got to be a little bit careful about what patterns you throw at yourself a little bit, and also what style you go for. But there's definitely a style for everybody, and the cut helps. You can only put shape into a jacket where a person's got shape, But there are ways of wearing a suit which help, but yeah, there's, definitely something for everybody. Definitely something for everybody. And, but you've brought up, interesting things really. People do feel self-conscious about it. Any decent tailor should really spend time, even before you get anywhere near the tape measure, thinking about those things, talking about those things, and thinking about the why and what is the outcome that the person wants. If you're doing all of those things, then it should be enjoyable. You should relax and actually have a bit of fun with it. That's the idea.
Well, I used this opportunity to get a suit and in a pattern and a colour that is probably different to anything I would normally get. Normally I would gravitate towards dark colours and pretty basic, plain stuff,
But is that for the reasons that you said, that you're self-conscious, or you're trying to blend in?
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of unadventurous urge to not stand out and not look stupid, I suppose. Feel like I can't really get away with things that are more interesting anymore. When I was younger, I discovered a cupboard full of my dad's old dress shirts that were collarless.
Yeah.
And he had a load of old suits in there as well. And so I went through quite a long phase of wearing his shirts with the top button done up, collarless shirts, and wearing like his baggy suit jackets.
Yeah.
This was the late 80s, mid to late 80s, and I loved the band Talking Heads, and their concert film Stop Making Sense had just come out, and me and all my pals loved it. and he in that film wears this crazy big theatrical suit. That I mean, it's exaggerated giant shoulders, and it's a very important part of the.
Because that's just had a re-release as well, hasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, they just put it out again.
We were only talking about that the other day.
Yeah, it's a great film. If people have never seen it, they should check it out. I mean, that music is brilliant. But so in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm like David Byrne. I'm wearing. It was okay for me to wear my dad's baggy suits because I quite liked the look, but I don't know how good I looked.
Well, but I think a lot of it though is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
It's if you feel a particular way, if you feel like, well, I'm like this person or like my idol, or and then I think that's great because it's all confidence, and that's part of getting a tailored suit as well, or part of anything that you do in life is feeling that confidence. Like talking to you today beforehand, I was quite nervous, and you've obviously done this a lot, and I was thinking, oh crap,
he's going to fly into a rage, he's going to hurt me, he's famous for beating people up.
Well, exactly, and all of those things were at the forefront of my mind. I thought I'm going to have some sort of fist fight, and it's going to be but so I was nervous. Things in life which
get you shirty,
and I know through listening to your podcast you've had your things in life where you've had your little run-ins. I think we're quite similar in that respect.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you used to get into confrontations with public officials?
At times. Yeah.
I'm glad to say that I have managed to eliminate that from my life largely. Yeah. I had quite an annoying series of hassles with my bank recently for reasons that I won't go into, but it involved a lot of very unrelaxing conversations on the phone, and going into the branch and just feeling like I'm living in the twilight zone here. What the shit is going on? And I managed to keep it together.
Right. Oh, that's good.
And I think partly because I thought, well, I'm always preaching about like, let's all get along and be nice to each other on the podcast. And for me to be so nakedly hypocritical in my own life and just turn into a total arsehole just felt too much of a defeat, and so I was able to be polite and patient, whereas every fibre in my body wanted to just stand up and just go, you know what, fuck off, I don't even need a bank account, I'm going to keep my money in a tin under the bed, if I never see any of you again it'll be too soon, bye, you're all shit. And that's how I felt.
But you kept it in. Is that like have you found a new technique to do that, or is it just?
I think it's thinking a little bit ahead.
Right.
That's what I found. Is how are you going to feel? It's the kind of principle of regret as a motivation, which dominates a lot of psychology, I think. And you just think about like, how am I going to feel after I've lost my shit? Yeah. When I'm walking home or cycling home, I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to think, oh, I've made the world a bit worse.
Yeah.
I freaked out at that guy who's just doing his job, even though I didn't think he was doing it very well.
Yeah.
I'm a dick. I made that person's life worse. I didn't achieve anything whatsoever. I just added to the sum of misunderstanding and human misery. So I was able to kind of get a glimpse of that.
Right.
And it stopped me.
Yeah, so I don't know about you, but I'm a chronic sort of overthinker.
Yeah.
I'm a sort of after tutter at myself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like an hour later or 2 hours later, I go, oh, out loud. Oh.
Yeah.
My wife will always go, What are you tutting at?
What have you done?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I don't vocalise that that's why I'm tutting very often.
Yeah,
so I tend to give some sort of excuse.
Are you? And when you're tutting, are you thinking I should have said something different? I've thought of a better thing I should have said, or are you thinking I just shouldn't have said any of that?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about myself.
Right.
I'm thinking, I was not good, and I'll replay the thing I said over in my, there'll be things about this conversation. Now I'll go home tonight and go, oh.
That's what editing's for.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
So that's Stuart. He'll make me look good.
Absolutely. Of course, every non-psychopath replays sections of more or less any conversation and just thinks, I wish I hadn't said
But
that.
do you not think Well, I suppose they're the psychopaths then. I was going to say, do you not think there's people who just blissfully go through life thinking, wow, everything I said and did there was absolutely fine?
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly people who are more comfortable. I mean, some people are just nice. I'm not saying that you're not, but
That's all right, I'll take it either way.
Some people are comfortable in their own skin, easygoing. They're not going to piss anyone off, and they're just drifting through in a happy haze. Good for them. But then there are psychopaths, I think, who couldn't give a shit. And they're just saying whatever they want, and they're not really that fussed about what anyone thinks.
And I suppose being fairly brazen about it as well. Well, that's me.
And then they're often rewarded with high-powered jobs.
Wow.
Because people are impressed by that.
Yeah.
Because so many of us do replay things and cringe at ourselves. And when we see someone who doesn't seem to do that, we just think, oh, they know something that I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for them.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I suppose that's it, isn't it? And that, I suppose it's why we, to a degree, regard people who are in like the entertainment industry or musicians or film actors. They're doing something that I can't.
Yeah.
And that may be the same with they sort of say and do whatever I like people. I'd never do that. So they must have some special power.
Yeah, so, I think that's what you want entertainers to do sometimes, isn't it? It's, you're sort of channeling a version of yourself that you feel that you can't get away with or isn't available to you.
Yeah, we've had a few little niggles there, but we tend to split it up into, well, we're going to do 4 today.
Okay.
So we're going to do the sort of, the Mars bar approach is how I like to think about it, the work, rest and play.
Yeah.
So, but then we've also got an off-the-cuff section, and you will be the first person to have the off-the-cuff section. So no pressure.
Can anything go in there?
Well, we have a bowler hat with things in there.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it'll be off the cuff. What are the niggles about this thing?
Wait, it's called off the cuff, but they come out of a bowler hat.
I know. And that might even be your niggle. but we couldn't think of a way. I could make a shirt cuff that we then put the suggestions in to pull, so it's out of a hat, but the term off the cuff seemed to work because you've got to think about them off the cuff.
Well,
so perhaps we'll just put them in a bowl.
Or
does that work?
Or you could, or they could be on the top of the hat and then they're off the top of your head. No, I don't. That doesn't really work.
Well, perhaps
off the cuff is better.
It works in terms of the title, but it doesn't work in terms of pulling it out of a hat.
I mean, you could. Are these things that you've already written down?
So there's subjects or things that you'll take one out of the hat and then go, oh yeah, well this is what niggles me.
I mean, you could definitely write them down on a piece of paper, fold them in half, and then just pin them to the cuff.
Oh yeah.
On one of your tailor's dummies.
And then you could just pick one off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
Oh, that's much better.
That's why you're the expert.
Yeah.
You got all the equipment.
We have got all the equipment.
You got the pins, you got the tailor's dummies.
Yeah, but we just didn't think about how to deliver the idea. Damn it. Well, that's good. We should take that and use it.
You're welcome.
Work. What are the niggles about work? Now, this could be previous work, this could be what you do now, could be the acting or the podcast, or go for it.
Things that I'm dissatisfied with in the work arena. Well, let me just check, because I actually keep a note on my phone that is called worsties.
Oh, right.
And whenever I've got a faves one as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's not all
feel
negative.
Feel free to, pull at will from the list.
Well, I mean, faves. You got faves. You got things just to give you an idea of I want to prove that the faves list actually exists. It's very general greetings card type stuff I've got here. Seeing my children happy, music, laughing with friends and family, succeeding to repair something broken.
That's a good one.
When my wife looks at me lovingly and sidles over to give me a hug. You can't beat the affectionate sidle. But then worsties, sitting down to watch a film that you've heard is really good, and then realising it's one of those films that takes place entirely in one claustrophobic location.
Right.
Like Buried and Lock both starring Tom Hardy. No, Buried is Ryan Reynolds, I think.
I've not seen either of those.
No, don't ever see Buried. Do you like the idea of being buried alive?
No.
Well, then don't see Buried.
Okay, I'll
because that's all. Once you start watching Buried, you're just in a box with Ryan Reynolds. And then Locke as well. Have you seen Locke with Tom Hardy?
No.
You're in a car with Tom Hardy
Oh.
for the whole film.
A bit like a better looking One Foot in the Grave. That episode of One Foot in the Grave.
Oh
do you
yeah,
remember?
did they have one?
Yeah, that was all on the motorway.
Sitcoms do that occasionally when they run out of budget, and it's called a bottle episode.
Right.
Because it's like a ship in a bottle.
Right. Okay.
And I think it's in the world of comedy writing. I guess it's kind of a fun conceit, more like a play.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No.
I want to see different places.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I quite enjoyed it.
Did you?
Yeah.
People loved it.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was one of the
You
ones
did.
that was recommended. Oh, you've got to see Locke.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's amazing.
Right.
I'm like, okay, he's
So-
in the back of a car. When does he get out of the car?
So is it the fact that is it the recommend not being up to scratch that niggles you, or is it the one location thing?
Yeah, the one location thing.
And that's the same for TV and film.
I think if I discovered it of my own accord, then it would be a bit different. It's all about managing expectations.
Yeah,
But if someone says, "Oh my God, you've got to see this thing with Tom Hardy, it's amazing," and they don't, like, if I was doing that, I would say you got to be okay with just one location.
With it all being in one room. You're right. Okay.
I don't think it's spoiling it to say that it just is one location.
car.
Do you like the interior of cars? Oh, well, I've got a great film recommendation.
This is the one for you.
Yeah.
So I was Tom Hardy when we get him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More work related. I mean, this is all. Well, I've also got Long Journeys by Minicab in here.
Right.
Although if it was with Tom Hardy driving, that would actually improve it.
That would be okay.
Here's a slightly work related thing. When I'm
Okay.
doing live shows and touring around, which I
Yeah.
used to do a bit more than I do now, but I still do sometimes. Checking into a hotel and finding that it's got a smoke alarm with a very bright green light on it.
Yeah.
And actually just lights in general, there's more and more devices in a hotel room. There's the light on the TV, there's the light on the clock, on the phone, there's the smoke alarm lights, and when you turn the light off, sometimes they're incredibly bright, and there's like a giant jade pool of light in the middle of the room. It's like a kind of Halloween environment, and because of that, and I've had a few nights totally ruined by that when I was unprepared back in the day. But now what I do is I carry tape around with me, and actually I put the tape on my laptop,
right,
so that I don't have to remember to carry around a roll of tape. I just put strips of tape on the front of my laptop.
Do you know, I saw those earlier.
Yeah.
And I thought there'll be a good reason for those.
Well, quite good.
Yeah. It is pretty good, because that's the first thing I thought was, well, tape.
He loves tape.
Yeah. No, not when I saw your laptop. I mean, obviously that sprung to mind. This is a man who's just has to have tape everywhere he goes. But no, just that was the solution.
That's the solution. But who remembers to carry around a roll of black gaffer tape?
Yeah.
No one.
No.
And it has to be black gaffer tape, because otherwise the light is going to just blaze through that thing. And so, I get some tape, and it even works. I even had a challenge recently, which was ended up in a hotel room with a very high ceiling.
All right, I was going to, okay.
So what the hell do you do? But I smashed it. I did a loop of tape, and no, I didn't smash the light.
That's what I thought you meant. I fell into a fit. I didn't control the anger.
No.
I didn't look forward. What I did was
I consider smashing it.
I
did consider throwing something heavy at it,
Right.
but no, that's dangerous, illegal, and
Would that have been your rock and roll hotel mate?
yeah.
That's the like.
No, I
and
don't
then
think
the TV went out the window.
I would never recommend disabling a smoke alarm, but this is my compromise. Anyway, I folded some tape back on itself, made a little sticky loop,
Right.
and then I found a broom, I went crawling around until I found a broom, maybe that the maid was using, and I just put the tape at the end of the broom and I just
Ingenious.
nudged it up on top of the. Oh, I felt pretty good.
So did you have to leave the room for the broom? Did you have to go insert?
Yeah. But this was not at night. This was when I checked in.
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I know now I've got to make sure that it's all. I mean, the only thing I felt bad about was obviously I didn't take the tape off.
I was going to say, do you de-tape? Is that?
I'd usually do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually de-tape, but not always. And I do feel that's not cool, and I apologise to any room cleaning professional that has had to remove one of my bits of tapes.
But of all the horrors that could be left behind in a hotel room,
Yeah.
a bit of tape on a bright light.
That's true.
I would say.
Elsewhere,
Yeah.
the room is spotless. Let me tell you. I swear to you, I'm recycling. Everything is sorted out, ready for recycling, and there's no pubes on that bathroom floor. No way.
I'm actually going to give you a little round of applause.
Yeah.
For that one. That's good.
None. No one is picking up my pubes
Never.
or cloning me from the DNA found therein. I am I'm quite obsessive about it.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea. I apologise that this is more information than you asked for or anyone needs, but there's no smearing on the toilet bowl or anything like that.
Bravo.
It's in good nick. I don't like the idea of making someone else clean up my shit.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, that's back. We're veering back into psychopath territory there. I think if you are a person who likes the idea of having someone clear it up,
Yeah.
then perhaps.
But I think
they
some
need
people do
some
think.
work.
Some people think. Well, I guess a lot of people just don't think about it.
Yeah.
But other people just think, well, that's your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
well,
I
you're
don't
being
think
paid.
that is their job.
No,
I mean,
I
it
don't
is
think
technically it is their job, but I also just think it doesn't need to be their job.
Yeah. No, it perhaps shouldn't. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So a little bit of tape. That's that's fine.
It's on the minus column, but on the plus column, no pubes.
No pubes. Yeah. That's
And no pubes on the bed as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to strip that bed.
Right. Oh, you're stripping the bed.
Yes.
I was half expecting you to say tape to the other side of your laptop is a miniature keyboard hoover that you then go
I thought
over
you were
there.
going to say tape to the other side of your laptop is a large collection of pubic hair.
The fluffy side. It helps keep it
It's a
spongy.
cushion, yeah, exactly.
Very like
Shock absorber.
those trays you get with all the polystyrene beads in
Yeah.
that keep everything level on
There
your
you
lap.
go.
You have a laptop pube leveler.
Well, this is a great business idea.
Well, I know. Stop making suits immediately.
Or instead of mohair, anyway, let's move on. But
Actually, we've had this conversation before. Frighteningly, we have. Had
someone
this
must have done
conversation.
it. Some performance artist, some kind of Lee Bowery type,
Yeah, there
must have made a suit of pubic hair.
Yeah. See, that could cover work and going. Perhaps
Yeah,
going away. But I'll take that for work because that's part of your job, isn't it?
yeah.
Staying away a lot. Is that? Are you bored of staying away a lot, or do you?
No, I don't do it very often.
Right,
and
okay.
I couldn't manage a long tour. The longest I'm ever away is 3 or 4 nights or something.
Right. Okay.
Before I get homesick. But the longest I was ever away was 3.5 months when me and Joe went to Japan.
Right.
And that was hardcore. I think about that still.
All right.
I think...
Was that pre-marriage?
No, we were married and our first son had just been born and
Right.
he was very young. He was only 6 months old when I went off. And so it felt like a weird thing to be doing.
Yeah.
And he got ill. That required my wife to go to hospital a few times with him. And all of this was happening while I was sat there in Tokyo having stressful video calls. So that was a bit... I mean, I loved Tokyo and it was wonderful being there. But no, I wouldn't want to go away for that long again.
Yeah, it's nice to do once in a while.
Yeah.
That sort of... I quite enjoy the difference.
Definitely.
Especially if it's somewhere where you haven't been before. And then there's that little bit of chance to explore somewhere. And
I think the longest I would be away now is probably 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Because my dream is to one day do one of those jungle type reality shows.
Would you do it?
Well, I would do a Bear Grylls one. I wouldn't
Right.
do I'm a Celebrity.
No.
Not that I've been asked. I've been asked to I've had an inquiry. But they ask almost everyone in the
Right.
country, and then they whittle it down. So I've been asked a couple of times for that, but I got very close to being on the Bear Grylls Island
Right.
that they used to do, but they
Yeah.
stopped. In fact, I said yes, and I was going
Right.
to do it, but then the pandemic happened, and it all got cancelled.
Do you think that'll come back around?
I'm hoping. I don't think it'll come around in that form, that island format,
Right.
but I'm hoping that something else will come along, and maybe I'll. Because I do feel like, well, I would like to see more of the world. I used to travel a
Yeah.
lot when I was young with my dad, who was a travel writer.
Yeah.
But then recently, haven't done so much. I guess maybe partly because the children are, have been young, and also don't have time. Also, don't necessarily want to fly. Feel guilty about flying a lot. So want to minimise that
Yeah.
as far as possible.
I'm a bit of a panicky
How are you?
traveller.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Not so much in the actual journey itself, but my timekeeping isn't my strongest point.
No.
So the being somewhere on time, or I'm very good at going, I've got loads of time when I haven't. So it makes travel a bit, as my family would say, as we ran from this one Eurostar stop to the next, because I said, we've got ages in between.
Gare du Nord to Gare de Lyon.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's you kind of get off, and then you're meant to change quite quickly. But I'd read the thing wrong. I was like, no. So I was shuffling us through really slow. Yeah, all small children go to the toilet. That's absolutely fine. We've got plenty of time, and we didn't. We made it barely. We were the last people on, as someone was sort of tutting at us and tapping their watch. So.
And you will never hear the end of that story.
No,
as well.
Yeah.
Like, my wife also has the same thing, and she one time we went on the Eurostar, and it was slightly stressful. It was kind of stressful. We same sort of thing. We nearly missed it, and we just got on there. Everyone was panting, and then it was like it was the worst thing that had ever happened to her.
Ever.
It was fine.
Yeah.
She said, I'm never doing that again. It's fine. It's better than flying. It's not better than flying.
Oh, it is.
It's so nice when you're on there.
Yeah, it's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. Yeah, but that panicked run, I do that far too much when I travel. So that's not good. But I'm with you on the lights on things. I don't really like it. I don't like noise either. Air conditioning is not good.
Well, I don't mind noise. I'm getting more. I actually have a noise maker on my laptop.
All right. I think Eve does that do the white noise?
Yeah,
and,
it does all the noise.
Every noise.
It does. It updated recently, and now it's got Lancaster Bomber.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like the roar of a propeller plane.
Right.
And it's got faders on it. This thing. I'm not sponsored by them, but the app that I use is called My Noise, and so you can bring the faders up and down, because it's even got radio communications.
Oh, really?
On a couple of channels. Yeah. So I don't want the radio communications. I just want the rumble.
noise. So, and is that for sleep?
Yeah,
or?
that's
right,
for sleep.
Okay.
Actually, well, it's also good on a train. If you're on a noisy train, you're sat next to some guy who thinks that his business call is something everybody needs to hear.
Yeah.
Then, stick my headphones in and blast My Noise.
Yeah, and can you still work doing that or read? I think I'd be able to work. I don't know if I'd be able to read.
Oh, definitely, because you're kind of cocooned, and it focuses your mind.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, it does for me anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get. I have got sleep sort of podcast that I listen to where it's somebody just
The Adam
reading
Buxton
it.
podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I find I fall asleep straight away
until I go bye at the end of it.
I don't. That would definitely. I don't think I could do it. Now you're my car journey. You see, I do a 40-minute journey in. So I managed to do one half on the way in generally, then the other half on the way home. And then quite often my wife will say to me, "Why were you in the car for so long?" Because I'll have 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left, so I'll pull up at home and then sit in the car and just because I can't leave 2 minutes. I couldn't start the next day with just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
So,
you have to sort of finish it off before you can go in. But it doesn't like and the light will slowly go off in the car as well.
Yeah.
It slowly fades off, and I'm just sitting there in the dark before I go in.
And then you start crying.
Yeah. I'm a gentle weep. But I'm surprised if I was being sort of, what I'd quite like is if a little tap on the window and a cup of tea presented, maybe with a biscuit, so I could finish it off in comfort. But I never get that, not yet. Perhaps I'll suggest that.
It's the dream.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Work, rest and play are the niggles from home. You don't have to name names if it's directed at a particular person.
Oh man, well I mean half my career has been based on moaning about things that it's generally in the kitchen.
Right.
It seems to be the most high stress part of the house. Fork bin drop, scraping plate remains into a full bin and dropping the fork in by accident.
Oh yeah.
Then having to go on a fork hunt.
Yeah. Back into the remains of what was your dinner? Yeah.
Into the umska.
Yeah. Fish fingers.
That's
or
very
was
sad.
you?
There's no fish fingers.
Fingers left.
They're all in my tummy.
Yeah.
That's a sad time. Wiping down. When my wife sometimes wipes down the kitchen surfaces with a smelly cloth.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
And she's got her favourite weird cloths that she hangs over the tap.
Yeah.
And they stink. They
Yeah.
always stink. And then sometimes, like when they're new, it's all good.
Yeah.
But it only takes a few days before they reek.
Yeah.
And then occasionally...
Is she squeezing them out fully?
Obviously not. I don't know what she's doing. I think she's dipping them in the toilet. Because it absolutely is like unholy, the smell.
Oh, really?
And she's fine with it. Like she can smell. I've got worse sense of smell than her. But she's like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone likes that smell.
See, just this afternoon, this morning before I left the house, I bleached the smelly cloths. Every couple of days, every week, never longer than a week.
Yeah.
A little bit of bleach.
Sometimes I'll put them in
Rejuvenate.
I'll put them in the washing machine sometimes.
Right.
Other times I will just put them in the bin.
Straight in the bin.
Yes. Which is not cool because I don't want to waste things unnecessarily.
No.
But at the same time, I just want them out of my life in that moment.
Yeah. So, are you kitchen roll, wiping down?
No, I've got quite eccentric kitchen mopping habits. I was talking to Bridget Christie about this on my podcast the other day. I quite like using a towel, like a bath towel.
Wow.
And I will just drench things and then just wipe them down
With the bath towel.
And then when the bath towel gets too disgusting, I'll just stick it in the wash. But I really like a bath towel. I like a sort of
Is that a
industrial
two-hand?
approach. Yeah.
Two-handed swipe.
Definitely.
All right.
So that's what I'll do.
That is quite eccentric, I would say.
Yeah, and I'll put it under really hot water for a little bit, and then it's steaming away, and I'll just steam everything down with the hot.
Like at the end of an Indian meal.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
hot towel.
Yeah.
Hot towel kitchen rub.
Or a flight. I mean, they used to do
Oh
that.
yeah, that's true.
In the old days, certainly, they'd come around with their little towel sausages, and it was lovely, and you get a whole face full of minty freshness or whatever.
Which it's quite nice with a beard. You see, you're quite beardy at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not. But when I had quite a long beard, I'd quite like, there's one of my niggles. I don't like stuff in the moustache.
No, who does?
Yeah.
Pirates
maybe, but some people really.
I'll get that for later.
Yeah, especially cream cakes.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
No, that's not nice.
Not nice. And then a hot towel is perfect.
Yeah, because cream cake. I mean, I don't really like dairy, so yeah, I feel you, bruv. Cream cakes, and then it's like they start going off. The cream starts going, and all you can smell is cream cake on your lower lip.
But I forget. It's like there's a little part of my memory that goes, I didn't eat a cream cake. So then I'm spending the rest of the day going, what is that smell? Can anybody else smell that? And then I remember the cream cake.
Oh, it's my disgusting moustache.
Yeah, it's my rank face. It's just honking up the room. But So, but I might try the two-handed towel thing.
I mean, I do it in private. I do it when there's no one there because I feel ashamed of it for some reason.
But not ashamed enough to. You're happy to talk about it. You just don't want.
Yeah,
to be
podcast
viewed.
is a special private space.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Nothing. What happens in the podcast stays in the podcast.
Stays on the podcast.
It's not cool to talk about what you heard a middle-aged man doing on a podcast and shame that person.
Never.
That's not okay.
No, that's No, I fully agree with that. Oh, I kitchen tops. I'm with you on that. Smelly, yeah. I'm with you on that. I don't like crumbs on a top though. Leaning on a kitchen top and having your arm coming away with crumbs on it. That's not.
Unless they're delicious, then you can line them up and snort them. Like cocaine.
Cocaine crumbs. Yeah.
Fish
That's
finger crumbs. Do
Yeah.
that sometimes.
yeah.
I
I think that's a. I might have to ask a quick fish finger aside.
Yep.
Is that just sandwiches?
No.
Do you do the fish finger sandwiches
Sure, as a treat.
as a treat? And is that what's going in with the fish finger?
Not much.
Any sauces?
Yeah, mayonnaise and
Ooh.
ketchup.
Mayonnaise and ketchup.
Yeah. Like what's that called? French dressing. Is it called?
I don't know. Is that
Or Thousand Island? I think
Thousand
that's what.
Island
Yeah,
or
that's what
rosemary, is it, or
Americans
something?
call it.
Yeah.
Thousand Island. The day I
Yeah.
found out that Thousand
Thousand
Island
Island.
dressing was ketchup and mayonnaise.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, see, ever with tartar sauce in there? Or is that too... That's good.
That's of course that's a good idea, but for some reason that's just not part of the
Try it.
routine in the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, try it. It's good. And if you're feeling wanting next level, a bit of rocket in there as well.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good.
I'm not Jamie Oliver, mate.
Hey, it's the pepperiness of the rocket, you see.
Of course. You see, that's a good illustration of how unadventurous I am when I'm left to my own devices.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go start yourself off just with the tartar sauce. That's my recommendation.
I'll build up to it.
Yeah.
60th birthday. That's what's happening there.
Yeah. So that's work. That's home.
Yeah.
What about going out? Are there any, have you got any sort of last things that sort of automatically spring to mind about, we've kind of done travel, but is there a
Going
sort of
out.
going out or an evening out or even just leaving the house maybe?
Yeah, I have to confess that when things get cancelled, I feel pretty happy. Like when people cancel plans and going out things, it's like, oh, thank you. You just gave me the bonus time gift.
You have the sort of, I quite often now tell myself I'll have a good time when I'm out. Once you're out, it'll be fine.
Well, which is true.
Yeah,
it's
but
always
it's hard
good to
get
go out.
past that.
Yeah, just the older you get,
Yeah,
the
the
more
comfier the chair is.
organisation there is. And for me, the problem sometimes is just the practical problem of cycling everywhere.
Yeah,
Because I go on my Brompton.
very nice.
Thank you very much. But then it is a drag to carry it around
Yeah,
everywhere you go. It's heavy, it's kind of annoying, there's not really room. Sometimes if you go into a busy pub or whatever, it's annoying.
yeah.
So sometimes I'll chain it up, but you're not really supposed to chain up a Brompton. This is incredibly boring.
No, go
stuff.
there'll be somebody out there going, these are good Brompton facts that I need to know.
You're not supposed to chain up a Brompton because it's such a high value item that your average thief is going to do whatever they can to get hold of that Brompton.
Right.
And they'll even strip it for parts.
So, well, work, rest, play, we've done that. It is time for the hat.
The
of
hat.
The cuff.
Off the hat cuff.
The cuff hat. The hatty cuff.
Thank you, Stuart. Beautifully made little bits of paper here.
There, in the hat cuff, there was little bits of paper which...
And what is written on my bit of paper is pubs.
So, pubs. Are there any niggles, or do you love everything about the pub? Do you even go to the pub?
Sure. Yeah, there's a great pub nearby us.
Yeah.
And it's won many awards. And the owner is nice. And they do food. And it's all cozy inside. But they have music.
Right.
Which I believe other pubs also do. And actually, it's usually fine. But occasionally you go in there and the only table they've got is right underneath the speaker.
Right.
And you've got chart hits coming at you.
Loud and proud.
Pretty loud.
Right.
And I really object to it. And sometimes I have asked them to turn it down in the past, but I just feel like such a prick doing it.
Yeah.
My dad was definitely, he would ask people to turn it down. I had a bit in my book where I remembered a time when we were in Barbados.
Right.
And we were at a reggae festival. We'd been taken to a reggae festival by the head of PR in Barbados while my dad was there in his travel writer capacity.
Yeah.
I was very young. I must have been about 5 or 6. Very little. Never been to a reggae concert at that point. So reggae concert in Barbados, it was very overwhelming, incredibly loud. We must have been the only white people there, I think. So everything about it just felt overwhelming to me. You know, I was like, wow, we look totally different from everyone here. It was quite weird to be to have it that way round. And my dad just leaned over to the PR person and said, "Could you get them to turn it down?" And the PR person laughed, you know, because she thought he was joking.
Yeah.
But then she realised he wasn't joking. And I think they may have even asked them to turn it down. And I think she said, "Okay, they're going to turn it down, Mr. Buxton." So I don't know if they actually did or not. But that was, even then, I knew, I don't think that's cool. I don't think it's cool to be in someone else's country at their reggae festival and ask them to turn it down.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of hope of that happening, really. But
well, this was in the 70s, and my dad at that point was kind of a powerful traveller. I mean, I'm sure they didn't turn it down.
No, but they wanted him to think that perhaps.
Yeah. But oh my God, the entitlement that my dad must have had to be able to do that. So even in a pub, feeling like, oh, I'd love it if the music was slightly less loud.
Yeah.
I don't generally do it. So what I do instead is I just unplug the speaker.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's bold.
I wait till they're not looking and I just take the cable out. And I put it back in when we're leaving.
Like the tape.
Like the tape.
Very good.
Well, actually, unlike the tape, because sometimes the tape stays on there. But no, I'll put the cable back in. I'm not a total vandal.
Yes, but is that wanting to talk, or would you do it even if you didn't? You know, if you were on your own, would you then be, or would the bomber? Would you then be the Lancaster bomber?
I mean, I'm generally not on my own in the pub.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would prefer it to be quiet on the whole.
Yeah.
I do agree. You know, it depends. I guess it depends on the mood. But if it's a Sunday afternoon and you're with your friends, you haven't seen your friends for a long time, you're looking forward to talking, and you're underneath a speaker, it's really a sad thing. Yeah. So I feel justified in just popping out that cable.
Yeah. That is
having a good chat. Yeah. Ed Sheeran's still going to be there when the cable goes back in.
That is true. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going
ever. And I think it's okay. And it's not as if there's anyone else around me who is absolutely, you know, it's like if we were in an environment where people, hey, Ed Sheeran, everyone's singing along, I'm not going to go and pull the cable out. But
and do you think, just going back slightly to your dad, do you think subconsciously that's where the seed for Bad Dad came from? Do you think that sort of memory of, let's put Dad in that situation?
Definitely. Well, he always hated all that stuff. He hated sort of pop music, loud music. I mean, that's the thing. I agree with him there, with the loud music, with the kind of inescapable music.
Yeah.
The idea that you have to have music everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I think I kind of agree with that. The tyranny of being surrounded by music blaring everywhere, as if the worst thing in the world is to be left with your own thoughts.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? It's I quite often think when people are just walking somewhere and they've got earphones in, I think, well, you're not hearing the world around you.
Yeah, but maybe they're listening to the Adam Buxton podcast.
In which case,
it's
forgivable.
They have won at life.
They are winning at life. Yeah. Well, I'd agree with that. You know, it's podcasts are a wonderful thing, and yours is a wonderful podcast. So.
Thanks very much.
That's all right.
I'm embarrassed that I managed to bring it round to that.
Well, it's probably a good place for us to stop on the wonderfulness that is your podcast.
Hooray.
And it's it's very surreal being on the other side of it, actually, and hearing your voice and being able to see you at the same time.
Yeah.
Usually you're just coming out of, you're coming out of the speakers in the doors, but I think of you as coming out of the
Sure.
centre of the,
Does
of
my
the
face
dashboard.
look as smug as you thought it would?
It's well, I've seen your face in person once before, actually.
Oh, yeah,
and it didn't look smug then, nor
Okay.
smug now. You're
Oh.
all right. You pass. Perhaps that's the hat, though.
Yeah,
Perhaps
yeah.
the hat is the anti-smug hat.
That's right.
That's what it is.
I
Now the peak's gone.
Gives me gravitas. I look
Gravitas.
as if I've just come from the docks.
Yeah, wise, a wise
Me and
old.
Kevin Rowland, we've been down there unloading shipments from
Yeah,
across the sea
across the sea.
before going and playing some shillelagh music. Shillelagh music? I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's good. Well, let's end it there. Adam, thank you so much.
Hey,
for
thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Good to talk to you.
So there we have it. A massive thank you to Adam for coming down and being our guest. We've all been fans for such a long time. It was a pleasure to spend some time in his company and to tailor for him too. I can't say I agree with his kitchen cleaning routine, but each to their own. A big thank you as well to Dat Hazard, as always, for the wonderful music on the podcast. Editing and production was done by Stuart Wilson, incredible as always, and thanks to Sam for keeping us organised and on track. I'm Stuart Hardman, your host, and this podcast was tailored for you by Hardman and Hemming. Until next time, try not to get too shirty